I'd like to call to order the March 4, 2011 meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners, and we'll begin our meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you join me in prayer. God, thank you for the opportunity to live in a place where we have freedom and the right to live in any way we see fit. We are blessed that we have no concerns of military takeovers, coups, forced surrenders based on guns, force, or brute violence. God, we'd ask you to put your hand on the people in countries where they do not have our admirable situation, peace, and calm. Touch the hearts of leaders who wish to impose their will and might on communities who reject it and wish to have self-determination. Take care of those who are in the line of danger and having threat of bodily injury. Keep us in your goodwill and favor, and give us the wisdom and clarity to make decisions that are fair and just, that help all of us and help us grow as a community. Amen. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the Board of Commissioners, it's the duty of every board member to avoid appearances of conflict or any actual conflicts. Does any commissioner know of any potential or actual conflict that you may have with any matter coming before us today? If not, we will proceed to public comment. The time limit for comment before the board is 3 minutes. If your time expires, you can leave any question along with your name, address, phone number, or email with the county manager. Commissioners are not expected to comment on any matters during public comment. This is your time to talk to us. Comments should be limited to subjects that are within the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners or pertain to matters upon which we may act. Any individual speaking during public comment should address the entire board. Any polling or individual questions of commissioners is inappropriate. Persons addressing the board are expected to observe the decorum of the chamber and be respectful of everyone in the room. Anyone who willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts the session will be asked to leave the meeting. The Commission reserves the right to deny public address on any subject previously presented to the Commission. Does any member of the board have any member of the public wish to make public comment tonight? Yes, sir, in the back. And if you'll give your name and where you live.
My name is Kevin Mathis. I'm with Asheville Elevator Company. I came to this meeting about a month ago complaining of unfair business practices or bidding practices by Buncombe County, and we had just won a bid for the AB Tech job, the new buildings that they're building there, and we had a bid that was $80,000 lower than the next competitor, and we never got a call back. We definitely were anxious to do the work, and we had felt like, and I expressed when I came here before that I did not understand why Otis Elevator had been specified, because they sell proprietary equipment, they offer no technical support, and they are the only ones that can take care of their equipment. We went and bid non-proprietary equipment that has free technical support. Anybody can take care of it, and it was $80,000 cheaper. And when we began trying to call to get this post-bid meeting that was supposed to take place, we could not get any response. Nobody invited us to come to a post-bid meeting of any sort so that we could qualify our product. There was opportunity supposed to be to pre-qualify your equipment, and the question was asked at the pre-bid meeting, how do we go about qualifying our equipment? And the answer was given, just wait and see if you are low, and then we'll worry about that then. So we went ahead and bid, and we were low, and then we never could get a call back. It just seems to me that somebody had their mind set on using Otis Elevator at any cost. And I don't know why. I would like to know, what is the extreme incentive to pay $80,000 more of the taxpayers' money to get proprietary equipment with no tech support and leave in the cold a Buncombe County, a local business that has been doing business here for 57 years. I'm sorry for my tone, but it's a little bit hard to take, I'm telling you. We did not even have the courtesy of anybody calling us back. I just want to file that as a complaint. I just don't think it's right. Now they're inviting us to bid. We got another bid invitation from Buncombe County, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to put this stuff together. What would you do? It's a rhetorical question. I mean, am I supposed to go and try to put together? I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to react. But my time's up, and I'll just leave it at that.
Mr. Creighton, could you have someone from our office call and talk about the situation and get with this gentleman?
Nobody contacted us.
They're going to contact you within 48 hours. You're going to get a call from somebody from Buncombe County. Is that fair enough, Mr. Creighton? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Any other public comment tonight? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Landis, and then the lady in the pink sweater next.
I am Reverend Lisa Landis, and I am a very spiritual person. A lot of people don't quite understand my religious beliefs, and it's more what comes after the Bible. Because right now we're in a period of revelation, and we see a lot of the things that are predicted playing out around us. And one of which is the breakdown in our communities. I mean, we just heard somebody who is a local business, and I saw the butt slapping the last time I was here for corporate welfare, and that was really disappointing to me. And when I was arrested, when I was targeted and arrested, I feel that it was a conspiracy in order to keep my voice silent. And you can tell by the scars around my mouth, I'm not one to keep my voice silent. My scars on my face were from 18 years in a domestic violent marriage. And the police would never come. So I was very, very prejudiced against police. And I tried everything that I could to be accepting of police officers. When I was arrested, it just brought back a whole lot of PTSD for me. And it really, really hurt me. And I wonder about the silencing of the people's voices. I look at how our voices, the community voices, were silenced. And then I look at the local ordinances that are made to silence the people's voices. And it's 3 minutes just isn't enough because you don't hear what we're saying. So what I would like to say is I'm in negotiation with the city to settle my false arrest, my imprisonment, my malicious prosecution. And I had come in front of you requesting you to look into my charges, to see that those charges were unjust, and no one did. So as I am settling, I'm also thinking of other things also to hold you accountable, because if you are indeed serving the people, then you need to start serving the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Landis. Yes, ma'am. Pink sweater. Anybody else wish to be heard tonight? Mr. Rice, after this lady, and then Mr. Weichel, we'll have you after Mr. Rice.
My name is Jeannie Rosenthal from here in Asheville, and I had spoken recently about the smoking issue and was really glad that Buncombe County had gotten way out ahead of everybody else on the issue. However, some people are starting to say that that's not the case. They pointed me to Ordinance 090804, and when I read through it, it does look to me like the situation is taken care of. And I'm speaking in particular of the so-called electronic cigarettes that's just been overtaking the area, especially here in Asheville. the stench from these things, the negative health impacts. I've been in a number of Buncombe County buildings, including 35 Woodfin, just behind this building, just reeks of electronic cigarette smoke. I've been in the library system, just reeks of electronic cigarettes. I've been in a school in the city, and I even smelt it there. There's grocery stores. This past December, I was walking through the mall. I don't normally go to the mall, but I happened to be there for something unrelated to what I figured everybody else would be there for in December. And the place just reeked of electronic cigarette smoke. And fortunately, there weren't a lot of people there. I was surprised how come there weren't very many people there. Many people are in their own home ordering online these days. But at any rate, this electronic cigarette smoke, it's very dangerous. And we've had this kind of game played against the citizenry before. In fact, there's a company called Lorillard. They're based in Greensboro. And in the past, they have said, oh, don't quit when people started getting upset about the health aspects. They said, don't quit, just switch. We're putting these filters on the cigarettes on the Kent, this Kent micronite filter. And in fact, it was actually more dangerous than what it was without the filter. And then they did it again with the menthol. They put the menthol on there to get people to think that it was safe. So what we need to do is to make sure that this ordinance does cover electronic cigarettes. And if so, we need to get that word out to people all throughout the area so that way they know that it includes electronic cigarettes. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought it did cover it. Do we know it does cover it? Do we need to, if there is anything we need to spell out, we need to do that?
We will do that, and we have shared that through legal with department heads and the sheriff's department to enforce around electronic cigarettes where we have jurisdiction, which is not all public spaces, but it would include all county buildings.
Yeah, we were the first county to do all premise, outdoor or indoor in the state. So we're very concerned about that. We have been for as long as I've been on the commission. So thank you for bringing that up. I think it does cover. If we need to add to, we will.
If we could put signs up and saying this includes electronic cigarettes.
We can't make them in public areas. I think we can do it on county.
Right, like the
We
library.
don't have the power to do it.
If we could put signs up there, because people are being told that they can smoke these electronic cigarettes anywhere. This is what the companies, the tobacco companies, are telling them. So if we could put signs up saying this includes electronic cigarettes, then they get the message.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rice was next, then Mr. Weichel.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm glad you missed me. We had some bad pollution out here in Inca. I hope our representatives really got on board with that. It sure got to the French Broad River in a hurry. And you know what? The astonishing thing about it, the pipe was almost stopped up. What do you think it would have done if a pipe was open like it is now? So if you think you got concerns then, the future even holds worse, because it's going to hit the river a lot quicker. And if it's of a night, that's a lot of times when people releases contamination, because it's after dark. It happens all down the river. It has for years and years. Some of it's intentional. That's one thing. AB Tech's another. Out at Inca campus, the contamination, it's under that OTM building out there. Nothing publicly is being said about it here. Nothing is being broadcast about it, and nobody's got the forthwith to even come out with it. It's little bits and pieces, and nobody wants to tell the truth about it. So I want something done about that. The gentleman here from the Asheville elevator, he was here 2 meetings ago. And Mr. Chairman, you told him that you would get to it right then. And then here it is another month, and he still hasn't got his answer. So we need to be on the job. Now, the other concern is a bigger picture. The people of this county has been taxed to death, 15%. Do we care? There's a lot of people out here that's suffering, I don't care how you look at it, to pay their taxes. And here we've formed a CRA committee and saying that 3.5 cents is all that's devoted to it. That is a hogwash lie. That's all that's in the budget. That's what's been in the budget for all these years. You didn't form this committee to set and spend 3.5 cents because your county people was doing a fabulous job at that point in time and still doing a good job. This committee was formed for one purpose, to enlarge and put the taxpayers at risk again. This aquatic center that yous are all in hoopla about, and recreation and the greenways, it ain't nothing but a political buyout against the taxpayers to put the screws to us as taxpayers. And I'm tired of it. And I think the taxpayers are. They've been a comment made by the political people sitting right up there at the desk that's made a statement to people don't really care. They just want us to do the business of the county. I think that's a hogwash too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Yes, sir, Mr. Weichel.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order is what I'm asking. I did call, and I was supposed to be on the agenda, and you said you do not have time this evening to hear me.
Your Honor, we have rules about putting things on agenda. I'm not aware of this. I don't know if anybody else has any word. Individuals can't put things on the agenda at their own whim.
Excuse me. I called here, and I talked to someone, and I told them I wanted to be on the agenda, and somehow it was missed.
I'm sorry. It's a decision by the board what goes on the agenda, and this is not.
Okay.
So you're welcome to have 3 minutes if you'd like to have public comment.
As I said, I have a lot more that I wish to say in behalf of my community, and some of them are here with me. They came expecting me to have that time. I'm sorry that that's some error, and that's okay.
If you have 8 individuals, you can speak up to 10 minutes. If there's a show of hands, how many do you have? If you've got 8, looks like you got 8, so you got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Now you understand you're waiving your right to speak in favor of Mr. Weichel, and that's fine. So if you've got that, you're welcome to take 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Right now? Or
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We just have rules. We have to, we have a lot of business. We want to make sure everybody has a chance to put things on there from the commission. So this is your chance to talk to us. So
Well,
go right
I
ahead.
understand the need for that. I have no problem with that, but I understood that I wasn't on the agenda. Therefore, I could not speak this time because you had a lot on the
That was
agenda.
my ruling before. Then I told you at the time you have if there are 8 people, you can take 10 minutes. We
I
don't let people
misunderstood.
just say I want to be on the agenda and get on the agenda. That's
Well,
not the way it works.
okay,
But
well-
you are now, so just go right ahead.
All right. Well,
And
I
go ahead and start his
misunderstood.
time with- Go ahead and start his time now. None of that counts because he asked me a question. I chose to answer it. So go
Thank
ahead.
you,
Your
sir.
10 minutes starts now, sir.
My name is Charles Weichel. I spoke here previously, and I want to thank all the commissioners for coming out and looking at the Coggins property. And I know that you folks are not going to be dealing with this issue. It's going to the Board of Adjustment, so I understand that. However, while that is true, I am not satisfied with the process that we went through as a community. It was not good. And I'll try to explain that. The process that we saw was flawed. It's a flawed decision. And I know increased development is going to happen. And it's going to happen much faster in the future than we have now. This is a beautiful area, as we all know, and people are going to come. So I think the process needs to be very, very well designed. Let me try to give you just a few illustrations of what I'm saying. By the way, it'd be nice to have a little something here for paper, but that's okay. Let me give you some illustrations. of this problem. When we went to the planning board, it was evident to all the community that went there, and I don't know, there were 40 or 50 people there, that the decision had already been made. Don't waste our time as citizens if that's the case, if you don't want to hear and perhaps change your judgment. Let me address the issue of flooding just briefly. Some of the process I'll explain, and I explained a little bit the last time I spoke, but some of the process is just not appropriate. For example, it is well known that flooding is a difficulty in our community. I live right across from the Coggins property. Bull Creek separates us, and Bull Creek floods. There is a photograph, and unfortunately it was taken in, well, the light was not good, that shows 6 feet of water on Old Farm School Road coming out of Bull Creek. Currently that happened. That happens a lot. However, I think if you look at the flooding issue, there's more to it than that. And there's a great deal of pressure on the whole watershed of the Swannanoa Valley. We all know that. Let me just review some things about that. The United States Army Corps of Engineers did a review of flooding, and I think all of you folks have had that information. $29.1 million lost in the 2004 flood, and and additional injuries went up to $30 million in 2004. And then that does not include tourism, that does not include loss of homes, disruption of lives, and many other things. Anytime you touch the floodplain of the watershed, if you add to it, you're adding to the problem. The United States Army Corps of Engineers did this review and said this is the damage done, and we're going to plan for reduction of flooding. While in the process of looking at the Coggins property, there is hazardous flooding on Bull Creek. I can tell you I've lived there longer than, well, with the exception of a few gentlemen up there, longer than anybody's been alive here. The result of that is if we do not look at this issue and look at it carefully, we're going to suffer more. And it does not make sense to me. And as far as I know, as far as hazardous flooding is concerned, like this that I'm talking about, was not examined by the planning board. I could find no information on that. Perhaps you people got some that I did not. However, you need to look at the watershed area and look at it carefully when development is directly impacting the flooding. It's got to be better than what it is, folks, much better. I do request of you to look at this with a great deal of concern for the businessman, for the tourist, for us. And that's all I ask. And I don't think it was done sufficiently. For the planning board to recommend putting a city, or excuse me, a town in the area that you folks visited is illogical. And part of that is this flooding issue, but it's also traffic, it's other things. If you folks went out there, I hope you went down Lower Grassy Branch Road. A lot of people do. It's kind of a suicide curve or two down through there, and houses right on the side of the road. And to even contemplate doing that defies my understanding of planning. And I've been somewhat disjointed here because I was surprised that I was going to speak right now. But nevertheless, let's look at the traffic just a moment. in the summertime, traffic is, well, spring, summer, and fall, it's really compounded. More people go through Old Farm School Road than lives in Buncombe County, I think, at times, and they go at fast speeds, some of them. And to try to establish safety for your citizens, those people in River Run, and also up at the other development, Holly Hill. They sometimes take their lives in their hands to try to get out on the road because of what's happening out there. And again, to think of putting a town in that environment, I have to question the whole process of planning. It just makes no sense to me. And I'm sorry, I'm getting old and maybe I don't understand, but I don't think that's the case. I'm getting old, that is the case, but I think I understand more about this than I wish to understand. This land we love and enjoy, and we ought to respect it to the nth degree. Don't mess with what is good. If a developer wants to come, and if it's a good development, I have no problem with it. I had no problem with River Run. I had no problem with Holly Hill. It complements the community. I have a problem with what I've seen, not only in the developer's plan, but also in the way the public was treated with a done deal before we could speak. I don't like that. I don't think it's appropriate, and I think that something needs to be done. And one of the things I would suggest, you had a unanimous vote from the board. Unanimous. Why? I would suggest put more diversity on the board. Put some people on there that look at the environment, look at flooding more carefully, realize that you're dealing with a watershed area. Look at what we are doing to people who have invested money in an area, built beautiful homes, they love it there, and then to have a planning board say, we unanimously agree we need to put a town over there. Really? Folks, I'm running out of time, and I'm not even started. I don't like to fuss. I did enough of that when I was teaching. But I'll tell you this. I'm native born, and I'll tell you a lot more before it's over with if I have to. But I think you people want to listen. You want to do the right thing for the businessman. You want to do that right thing for the resident. You want to do the right thing that you possibly can for all of us. I believe that. We've got to take care of this beautiful place. And if we don't, and we've got to take care of the people who are here. Other people will move in. This fellow that came in as the developer, he had a grandiose plan. And I'm through. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
appreciate
Mr.
your
Wyker.
time.
Any other public comment? I think you were one of the ones that raised your hand earlier.
There are over 8 of us here. I would request 3 minutes. These 8 people have all given Charlie 10. Can I ask for 3?
I think you raised your hand earlier. I'm sorry, that's our rules.
There were 8, though. I didn't raise
Any other
10.
public comment tonight? Sir, in my discretion, I'm going to give you one, because I don't think you understood, but understand that the rules, we have to go by rules here. We can't just have people come in and speak and interrupt and do things. We want to hear from everybody, but it has to be some structure. So in my discretion, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Bernard Schechter. I live in River Run, right across the street from the Coggins Farm. I just want to say to the commissioners that I've been to just about all of the meetings, the community meeting, the zoning board meeting. I was here last time at the commissioners meeting. And I have spoken, my guess is probably to 40 to 50 different homeowners in the area who've come to the various meetings. I have not spoken to a single person who wants this to happen. Even more of the opposition to just the residential construction which is going to be a 10-year construction, and people are going to have construction in the neighborhoods for 10 years. By changing the zoning to allow a school, to allow stores, to allow office space, to allow a restaurant, is going to make it unbearable to the people who've, like Charlie, have been there their whole lives. A big percentage of what they have in this world is invested in their home. Probably the biggest equity that they have in this lifetime is in their home. And I know that the other day I did it again. I was on Route 70 going to turn onto Riceville Road, and there was a large backup of traffic. I was car number 20 until I could turn on Riceville Road. I was on the third traffic light as it turned. And you put another 800 cars there, I can't even think about what's going to happen. Somebody is going to get, God forbid, but someone's going to get killed or seriously injured on one lane each way on Riceville Road, Lower Grassy Branch Road, Old Farm School Road, with just ditches off to the side. I mean, that's, there's lots of accidents that occur there all the time. Without this increased traffic, if you allow the zoning change to include stores, shops, office space, restaurants, it's going to be a nightmare. And the people that'll directly suffer are your fellow citizens, fellow residents of Buncombe County. Again, I'm a newcomer in the county, in case you can't tell by my accent. But my friends, the people in my neighborhood, many of them have just been there their whole lives, or most of their lives, and they're going to lose their peace, tranquility, and I feel a significant depreciation in their property values, because when you go to sell your home over there, who wants to buy a home where it's going to take you 20 minutes to get from Route 70 up to where your house is? So that's really what I'm asking you to consider this zoning change seriously, please. Thank you.
Okay, the Coggins property is not on our agenda today, nor is it scheduled to be on our agenda in the future. So thank you for your comments. I know this is a major concern. We've heard you. We've gotten a lot of correspondence, and we want to do the right thing, keep your community, and also respect our rules. So thank you all for being here. Any other public comment tonight?
Mr. Chairman, can you just briefly explain how people do get on the agenda or subjects get on the agenda?
Yeah, Kathy, why don't you go ahead as a clerk, tell us there are several ways we can do it.
And Mr. Weichel did speak with me, and I'm sure it was my fault. I did not make it clear. But you cannot get on the agenda unless it comes through the chairman, through the manager and the chairman, or just like he did it, by showing up and having 8 people show up and public comment and get 10 minutes. And that's the same almost as being on the agenda, because you always ask people to limit it to about 10 minutes when you come. So that's about the only way.
And then 3 commissioners can also do that.
That's right, and 3 commissioners at the same time.
So it's basically chairman,
That's right.
manager, or any 3 commissioners all together, and that's the only way that's been our rule since we'd expanded to 7. Certainly before it used to be, I think 2 back then. When it was 5 on the board. Yeah. No. Okay. All righty. Any other public comment tonight? Next week we are going to have a discussion. Next meeting we'll discuss about the Hominy Creek, and I think that'll be the time if anybody has comments on them. Yeah, our next meeting we'll be talking about that. Okay. Any other public comment? There has been in the pre-session we have made adjustments to the agenda that we had. The first change is that we have removed the resolution approving the bond issuance because of procedural timing issues. That is off the agenda, off the consent agenda totally. And we've also had a request to move the Moogfest funding approval from the consent agenda to after the good news proclamation portion of our meeting. Those are the changes. I think we are going to do appointments of the African American commissions at our next meeting, at the earliest possibly the meeting after that, because we're going to interview all the applicants. We have 3 appointments for that one. So with those changes, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as I have stated with the changes?
So moved.
Okay, it's been a motion by Vice Chair Frost. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fryer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of following the agenda as we have altered it, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Then the motion carries 7-0. Good news proclamation. We have, this is Red Cross Month, and I would recognize Vice Chair Frost to read our proclamation. Understand no one is here from Red Cross, but we'll make sure we get this to that wonderful organization.
May I borrow Commissioner Jones's glasses?
Coming your way.
We work as a team up here in every way.
Thank you. These are very nice, by the way. County of Buncombe proclamation of American Red Cross Month. Whereas the American Red Cross is made up of everyday heroes who reach out to help their neighbors when they are in need, and whereas Buncombe County is full of American Red Cross heroes who are on the front lines every day volunteering their time, giving life-saving blood, providing round-the-clock support to members of the military, veterans and their families, and teaching life-saving classes in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. And whereas across the country and around the world, the American Red Cross responds to hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and wildfires, and terrible tragedies like the Boston Marathon bombing, Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, and whereas when an injured service member ends up in a hospital far from home, the American Red Cross is there to offer comfort. When a hospital patient needs blood, American Red Cross blood donors step in, and when a lifeguard saves a drowning child or someone steps up to help a heart attack victim, the American Red Cross is there. And whereas this board feels it would be appropriate to dedicate the month of March to all those who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, and blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Commissioners for the County of Buncombe as follows. 1, that March of 2014 be proclaimed American Red Cross Month in Buncombe County. 2, that all Buncombe County citizens be urged to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. 3, that this proclamation be effective upon its adoption. Adopted this the 4th day of March 2014.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Make a motion.
Motion. Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Belcher, second by Commissioner King. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We have adopted the resolution. Thank you. Next, we have Christy Cheek with the Career Academy at Erwin High School, and she's going to talk to us about graduating career and college-ready students.
And we are bringing a crew with us, so good evening, Chairman Gant, commissioners, and other guests. And first, I'm just going to say thank you to each and every one of you that attended our Buncombe Discovery Academy Minitorium opening. We're very excited about our new school and can't wait to bridge education and the economy together. So
Hey,
thank
we were
you
all
for
there,
that.
actually.
Yes, you are.
Every
So
one
thank
of us
you
went to
all
that.
very
It's
much.
very important.
But today we're here because we want to say thank you. Thank you for believing in our students and what they can accomplish. 6 years ago, the Career Academy at Erwin High School was born as a way to show students what careers are here in Buncombe County, and it's a way to support a workforce development initiative. Partnering with AB Tech and Biltmore, and Scott McLean from Biltmore is here, to form the EDGE program, which EDGE stands for Educating Generations of Employees. This work-based learning program takes a cohort of 25 students each year, and we mentor them through the help of a graduation advocate, which is Anna Austin, and teaches those critical 21st century work-based learning skills that our business community expects and demands. Through this program, 4 times each year, staff from AB Tech and Biltmore come to Erwin High School and teach such valuable lessons as First Impressions, where we have patented the handshake contest. And these gentlemen are masters at it. and also what it really means to put on either a uniform or name tag. Now, while we do this, we talk about the Erwin uniform, and when we ask students what it means to put on that uniform, they tell us things like pride, to work as a team, and to be a leader. And so then we transfer that to say, well, what would it mean to put on a Biltmore uniform? And what comes to mind? Pride, to put on and work as a team, and those transferable work-based learning skills. So isn't that what we want in all employees? And then lesson 2, we really look at resume building and filling out that job application. So we want our students to make sure that they have the best foot forward to walk in that door and present themselves well. Session 3 is our favorite, the good, the bad, and the ugly of job interview. And it gets down and dirty. And we like it that way because our students really see what a good job interview looks like and what a really bad job interview looks like. So this is very hands-on learning. And then lesson 4 really helps them see, once I've got the job, how do you keep it? We talk a lot about business ethics, and is it really okay to slide those fries to a friend? You know, what does that really mean? So how do we do that? And then we visit the estate, and then the whole thing culminates as these students can apply for a paid work experience at Biltmore during the summer. This also then doesn't just stop at their freshman year. As their sophomore year, they can reapply, and it's skill and support building throughout. And finally, culminating in a paid internship, which these 2 students have done, and this year they will be our first paid interns at Biltmore. So we're very excited about that. I want to thank especially Commissioner King. He helped us kick off this year's Career Academy program this year. And we can't do this without Anna Austin, who is this graduation advocate. Not only is she that as a school mentor, I call her the organizer-in-chief and sometimes mother at school. And then, of course, Biltmore. They have been with us since the beginning, and I can't tell you how much that partnership means with us. This really is about showcasing talent across Buncombe County and looking at a workforce development initiative to help students see careers in our back door. So thank you to each and every one of you, because it is about graduating career and college ready and going to our next steps. So Scott, would you like to say anything from Biltmore's perspective?
I'll just keep my remarks very, very brief, but wanted to express some appreciation and gratitude to the Commission, to Buncombe County Schools, to AB Tech, all of our other community partners. There's no one employer that can do it alone, and it really is important for us to build these partnerships in the community to get the result that we're seeing here today. Who could have foretold 5 years ago, 6 years ago that we'd be in this position? I'm so proud of the program, and I appreciate all the support. Thank you.
And if you've ever attended a hospitality camp graduation, I cry every year. I'm sorry, I'm a sap, but it is very touching to me. And they know that because they've been through it. But anyway, one of the greatest things, they think Scott's their big brother after he's mentored them every year. And really, when the students get to go and see who has been mentoring them and work with them on the estate, it really does. It's a partnership effort. So what we're going to do is the students really have the best story to tell. They're the ones you really want to hear from, not me or Scott. So if you will cue the video, one of them has already been a star on TV, and you will see him on Game Changers from WLOS.
D'Angelo Collington helped lead the Erwin football team to the best regular season in school history. Now he's a key contributor to the Warriors' undefeated basketball team. But life was not always so smooth for this week's Game Changer. D'Angelo Collington's life has changed dramatically during his 4 years at Erwin High School. His freshman year, he rarely showed up for class.
I probably came to school maybe 3 days out of a week, and I was always late.
He was on a troubled path until something changed.
I just like to eat, so I like to cook.
D'Angelo found a passion for cooking. That led him to become part of the Career Academy at Erwin and part of the Biltmore Edge program, designed to give students the skills to be successful in work and in life.
with the Biltmore job, they were like, oh, if you do this and this, you can get that job again. And so it kind of like motivated me to like be in school every day, get good grades, and be on time, stuff like that.
D'Angelo says that being part of the program here at the Biltmore Estate has helped him become a better person, become more disciplined, and now he's looking to go to college, something that he didn't think might have been possible before he got in with this program. Without this, do you think you'd be where you are today?
No, sir. I've probably been in trouble somewhere.
I'm gonna scoop it. D'Angelo has come a long way since his freshman year. His goal now is to go to college on a football scholarship and study to become a chef and work at the Biltmore Estate.
And D'Angelo, come.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's been a pleasure doing this, and I hope y'all can keep doing this with everybody else.
And Joshua Ramirez is another student who would like to say something to you.
Hello there, my name is Joshua Ramirez. I guess we weren't really ready for what was going on and what we were getting ourselves into or anything. And I mean, it's such a great program. I really didn't think much of it my first year, my freshman year. I just thought it was going to be something easy just to get me out of class so I wouldn't have to be in there. It actually turned out being something great. I got to meet new friends. A great guy named Scott McLean is part of Biltmore that's actually helped us out on our way. And Christy Cheek that's always been there with us. Christy Cheek has always been there with us at the end of our programs every summer. And yes, she does cry a lot. I am a witness. I hope you guys keep on funding this program because it really does help a lot. And I'm finally looking into graduating, finally. And I really want to get into criminal justice. And that's my main goal after high school.
So tell them where you're working.
Right now I am working in security at Biltmore Estate. It's the internship that I'm in. I work every Saturday, and I'm always on time. And I love it. I couldn't ask for anything better. It's fine. It's where I want to get my career into, so it gets my foot in the door and knowing what it is to be in law enforcement. Thank you.
So on behalf of Buncombe County Schools and everyone, thank you so much for believing in our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Gann, I'd like to make some comments about this program. As Ms. Christie noted, that I helped with the kickoff, and this is a program very near and dear to my heart because I was one of those Erwin kids, and like these boys, I needed a little extra help getting through, and Biltmore was also there for me. There wasn't a formalized program at the time, but Biltmore has been doing this type of thing for many people for years, and I love this formal program. I did the same things they did, go to school, change into the Biltmore uniform, go to Biltmore, and then AB Tech was there as an interim for me. Without Biltmore and without AB Tech, I wouldn't have been able to go on to Western. And another thing that I would like to really point out is Biltmore does, doing a great job, but this is not possible without great teachers. So Miss Anna, Miss Christie, thank you for all you're doing, and I know I had great teachers who helped me, and they took that extra time to help those kids that need a little extra help. And these young men here, y'all have done a great job, and thank you, and thank you, gentlemen, for what you're doing to be future members of the communities and leaders yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, thank you for being here. Next, we have the proposal to fund the Moogfest in April up to $90,000. Let me just read the agenda item. Moog Music is transitioning their annual Moogfest Festival into a unique, innovative technology conference in April of 2004. They project $30 million economic impact to our area in the birth of an annual conference to bring talented entrepreneurs to the county. They project 34,000 hotel room nights along with increased weekday business travel to our area. The event will be covered by national media and will shine a positive light on the innovation and talent that is in work in our county. The request is for $90,000. I see Mike Adams here, the president of Moogfest, and if you want to come up, you've presented before. If you want to come up and add to what we've said here, we're glad to have you. Thank you for being here again. I think we've had several meetings with you, and the number keeps on going up, Mike. The room nights and the impact, it seems, from when you first presented.
Well, yeah. As we're getting closer, that is what happens. Is about 75 to 80% of your ticket sales come in the last 3 weeks. So we're getting a lot better feel for what exactly is going to happen at Moogfest. So, yeah, the numbers are getting better.
All right. Does anybody have any questions, or you have any comments you want to?
No, I mean, I do. I was just telling Christy we would love to have a relationship with that group because, as a part of Moogfest, those are the kids that, we're hoping this thing we're going to impact in the long run. And I was just telling her, I said, get in touch with me afterwards. We'll arrange for that cohort to attend Moogfest at my expense this year. So
Good.
Happy to be able to do that for them.
Thank you so much.
As far as the numbers are concerned, I just did a quick calculation back there. The 34,000, if you take an average, and I don't really know what the average is, of about $150 to $175 a room night, the tax on this is going to be $238,000 back to you. So basically the $90,000 is going to be returned in the very first week of this event. But the good news is that we know now from a survey of 160 of 2,500 people that are coming that 76% of the people have never been to a Moogfest before. 57% of the people that are coming are making $100,000 or more. 52% of people are working in the tech sector already, and 82% of the people are ages 30 to 54, which is not your typical music type event. So we have accomplished our objective of enticing the right people to come to this event. If you add that to the media attention that we're going to see in that week and what we've already seen, this is going to put a spotlight on Asheville that'll have far-reaching benefits that will entice people to come here for many, many years to come, and hopefully provide jobs for those kids and those kids' kids. So looking forward to the support of the county commissioners. I do also want to thank you. I've been doing business in this county for a good 12 years now, and it's always been a pleasure to be here, and I've always appreciated the support that I've gotten from the county and the city. And thank you very much. For any questions, I'm happy to take them tonight.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to fund this, and also comment that I think it's extraordinary. We talk about, supporting local. You can't get more local than this. And the fact that you've been flexible, moving the dates around, and what a bonanza for hoteliers to have full hotels in the middle of the week.
Thank you.
Second.
There's been a motion by Vice Chair Frost, a second by Commissioner Newman. Is there any other discussion or questions?
I would just like to there was a great presentation, kind of a full presentation that was given at the last meeting. So for folks who may not have caught that, that's a great source of information about what the plan is. And with the music festival that's been held in the past, that's I think the image that some people have. And so there was a great presentation about how the conference has been really redeveloped around being an economic development and technology focused project. And so anyway, I just encourage everyone to learn more about this. It is a really, really exciting opportunity for this community. I think it's something that could be really become a part of this community for years to come. That would really be a signature event for this community and bring innovative, bright people from across the country and across the world to our community, and really exemplify a lot of the aspirations of what this community is about. And I do think it is, for the investment that we're making here, it may be one of the most impactful economic development investments that perhaps has ever come in front of us. So it's very exciting. It's great to see the business community in Asheville rallying around this event. For the total proportion of the resources that are being used in this project to put it on and develop it, the vast majority of it is coming from private sources, but I think that it is appropriate that the city and the county be partners in this project. So I'm really excited about it, and I know it's going to be a great event. And I think that when we look back at this in a couple of months and evaluate this, I think people will be. It'd be hard to argue that this was a great outcome for our community to have this start this year. So thank you for all your work on this and for the vision that's gone into it.
Thank you.
It's really exciting.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other comments? Mr. Jones?
And I would just add that I'm very excited and impressed about the data that y'all have collected to date around the demographic that's coming. We talk a lot in this community about measurable impact, and y'all have got the numbers behind you. And also, I would say, in sitting in an elected official chair for 12 years or so, we talk a lot about wanting to bring this demographic to this community, folks with that are going to pay and bring jobs to this community, and how do we do that? And we also talk and wring our hands a lot about the generation that is leaving this community and how do we keep them. So here we've got concrete data that this is going to be a week where we can showcase a place, folks that have not been here before, folks that make over $100,000 a year, folks that are in an industry that we say that we want. I mean, how many committees have come and gone through this community that have said, we want to bring high-tech jobs? Well, here you go. So I just wanted to echo the comments that have been made so far. I know that just the word sometimes fest can kind of have certain connotations, but I do think that digging a little bit deeper into this demographic that's been very targeted, we can clearly see that this is a great opportunity for us to leverage the private funds that have already been invested. So I wish you all the best, and happy to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to say I've been to, I guess, a couple of presentations of Moogfest. Got a good tour of the place for the first time a few months ago, and I have an interesting position on this because I really like the direction at which you're going. I think that the change from where it was before to where it's going is very positive. I do think, however, at this stage for me, that the corporate route, corporate sponsors, private sponsors, and I also think that we have an existing organization, which is a Buncombe County TDA, that has, there's a room tax, and I'm on that board, but I'm not a voting member of that board. But to me, it's a better fit there. And so for that reason, I'll not be voting for this tonight, but I just believe that it's a better fit there. And I think in the future, we're going to see some very positive things out of it. And I would like to see us be able to work that source as best we can for the benefit of what I'm seeing so far and what I'm hearing so far.
I just want to interject one thing. It's my understanding that TDA has a policy of not doing cash sponsorships of events. I understood that to be their policy, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Fryer?
I've looked at it. It's probably a good idea, but then I look at the tax base of the people. We went up 8 cents on them. I know it's a great idea, Mike, but I think you brought it in way too late, as far as I'm concerned. It should have been during budget time. Don't know exactly where we're going to come up with the money. I've heard different areas where we can come up with it, but it's still a business. And most businesses, I had a business, and if I knowed I could come to the county to get some money when I had a little bit of a problem there, I would have probably done that too, but I'm in an area because there's some people in this town that they're losing business to Buncombe County because Buncombe County is causing a little bit of the problem. And when you got employees having to lose jobs because things that we're doing, it's hard to give somebody $90,000 to make up for, I think it will bring business, but as business owner, I had to try to figure out my own business and bring money to it. Only thing I can say is I'd wished you'd brought it earlier. I wished, I'll have to vote against it. That's a terrible thing to say, but as I said, there's things that's happened in this county that's hurting people right now. We're hurting the taxpayers, and I don't know how they're going to accept us handing $90,000 out to a local company, which is a great idea, but not right now. We voted on a budget, and now we're looking at $90,000 more. I apologize, but I cannot vote for this.
All right. Any other comments? My comment would be that this is a unique opportunity that we're rarely going to get. You got a company that's putting millions of dollars into something they believe in, and they're transitioning from a music-only festival to one that really is exactly where we want to be. You're talking about technology, you're talking about innovation, you're talking about entrepreneurism. If there's anything that matches up with what, as Commissioner Jones said, anything that matches up with what we want to be as a community, it's the kind of people you're going to have at this festival. And it's the demographics, the more information you get, again, as Commissioner Jones said, the better it looks. So I think it's about jobs, and I think it's the people that are paying the taxes, that's what they want. And they want leadership to help us invest in more jobs. And I think that's what we're doing here. Because I have great confidence that when people come here from other parts of the country, and I can look in this room and see some people that can verify this, they want to stay here. They like it. And if we have the welcome mat open to entrepreneurs and technology folks that can live anywhere in the country they want to, we're going to deliver. Moogfest is going to deliver them to us, and if we don't embrace them with a welcome mat, they're going to get the wrong message. So I think this is an opportunity. As Mr. Adams said, the sales tax alone is going to more than cover this investment. And we don't do it lightly. It doesn't fit cleanly into our economic development policy. But this is I wouldn't say once in a lifetime, but pretty close. I've been on this board 18 years. I've never seen one quite like this where you've put up so much and asking a small amount. The city's put up $90,000 already. Part of that's in kind, part of that's cash. But I think it's a small ask, and it's a big return for us. So I'm going to support it. Any other comments?
How much have you put up of your own?
$3 million.
$3 million.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the resolution approving $90,000 allocated to Moogfest, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion carries 4-3. Belcher, King, and Fryer against. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And Christy, good to see you. Thank you for being here. All righty, we'll look forward after April to see how we do. Next, we have a public hearing on the zoning text amendment, Americans with Disability Act and Comprehensive Land Use Plan. This is a public hearing, and Mr. O'Connor, Josh O'Connor, is going to talk about the text amendment and the merits of this. Josh?
Thank you for having me. I've got two brief amendments, and they were relatively non-controversial when they went to the planning board, so we've presented them to you in tandem. So the presentation will cover both at the same time. I did want to clarify that the reason that you're seeing so many zoning amendments lately is this is part of the process that since we adopted the land use plan back in September of 2013, we're working to codify that as part of the zoning ordinance. So that's why you're seeing so much of me over the past couple of weeks and months. The first element that we're dealing with allows for retrofits to be made to existing buildings in accordance with the Americans with Disability Act requirements, and I'll get into that in more detail in just a slide or two. The second, just very briefly, is to utilize recommendations made within the land use plan to provide continuity in the Board of Adjustments decision-making process. To simplify that a little bit, currently yourselves and the Planning Board are required to make a statement of consistency with the land use plan prior to making any decisions. and we would like to extend that to the Board of Adjustment as well, so that they're looking to the same long-term vision that our other decision makers are. As I mentioned before, this is straight out of the land use plan that was brought to you in fall of 2013. And it's addressed under the zoning enhancements element of Section 6. It's working to achieve some of the county's overarching land use goals, and to just advance based on lessons learned and what we've documented over the past few years. With respect to the Americans with Disabilities Act and retrofits of existing buildings, staff has not provided appropriate flexibility in looking at existing buildings, which may not conform to the current zoning ordinance, or if changes being made to those buildings would cause it not to conform to the zoning ordinance. The lack of flexibility that we have discourages ADA retrofits and can add additional time to the process. Under the current system, the applicant must file an appeal to the Board of Adjustment if they really want to make those retrofits, and that comes at a cost of a $250 application fee, and there's also a 30-day lag time between the time the application is filed and before it would be heard before the Board of Adjustment due to statutory requirements. With respect to the land use approval process, under our current Board of Adjustment process, the board not only looks to, or the board only looks to the zoning ordinance and does not consider the larger land use context in their decision making. The disconnect between that, yourselves, the planning board, makes it difficult to relate decisions to more long-term outlooks. So the recommendations were to modify the current land use policies to allow for consideration of potential exemptions and variances as they relate to the Americans with Disability Act, and require appointed boards to consider how each site conforms with the comprehensive land use plan update in an objective manner. The resolution that you have before you tonight, an overview, is it allows us as staff to make exemptions to speed up the process. If we feel like the exemption is not a cut and dry decision, or there's going to be a further community impact, we still retain the right to defer that to the Board of Adjustment in cases where we need to. So it's not going to be staff making every decision if there is a higher level of impact. Ultimately, the ADA retrofits will save property owners, most specifically the owners of commercial property, time and money. And these changes align us with the expectations of the Department of Justice, who say that we have to make it as easy as possible to allow for compliance with that act. And hopefully it'll encourage more retrofits for ADA compliance. With respect to Board of Adjustment decisions, this change would provide parties on both sides of an application to understand how the project fits within the land use context. Applicants would be expected to justify the plans which they present based on the land use plan, allowing for more contextually oriented plans. And I did want to mention, and I'll show you a couple of screenshots, that our GIS folks have built a new application that's up and available online to allow residents to interact with the information in the land use plan, so that they can, if there's a proposal on the table, they could look up their property, they could look up the developer's property, and understand exactly what was going on. And that tool I'll just mention can be accessed at buncombecounty.org/GIS. It's difficult for y'all to see, but this is just a screenshot of what it looks like. It looks like our standard GIS system. You can put it in a parcel or an address and look up a particular property, and then you can turn on the different layers that are mentioned in the land use plan and show how that particular property relates to those. At the end, the user is given an option to print out a map of their property, and it prints out 4 separate maps, or 3 separate maps, that shows how it relates to each of the variables listed in the land use plan.
Josh, how do we let the public know about this feature? And
I believe Ms. Hughes was working with myself and the GIS department to get this out to the public.
Okay, thank you.
And so that's just an overview of what we're doing with the mapping technology, and with that I could answer any questions you might have about the proposed amendments.
Any questions for Mr. O'Connor? Okay. Thank you. Then we'll start our public hearing. Start the public hearing. Any members of the public that wish to be heard on these zoning text amendments, we'll start the public hearing at 5:40. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this? Mr. Rice? Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. When you look at ADA, Bill McElrath back some years ago when Wanda came here, Dr. Green, that's been a long time, they had an ADA committee. And what I'd like to know if that committee is still in existence and what kind of reviews have they been looking at in the years that I haven't heard nobody speak on it. And that tells you how old we are here. But I think ADA, Mr. Chairman, special needs population that we serve and disability attorneys serve, this is a big deal. Now, as far as helping the people here and the staff to get something done quicker and better, that's fine. But I think the rights of the individual needs to be heard, and it needs to be public, and it doesn't need to be done in the back room. But I'm all for the speediness of it if people are heard and respected on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Any other members of the public wish to be heard tonight on the zoning text amendments? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:43. Is there any discussion among the commission, and is there a motion to adopt the zoning text amendment?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner King. Is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Frost. Is there any further discussion of the zoning amendments before we vote? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The amendments pass 7-0. Next, we have 3 rezoning requests. We'll start, have Debbie Trumpy here to tell us about the first one. This one is Biltmore Farms, and we'll have public hearings on each one of them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Lee Thomason has applied on behalf of Biltmore Farms to rezone a portion of tax lot pin 9635081175 from R3 Residential District to CS Commercial Service District. The tract is 42.6 acres and is located on the east side of Brevard Road, just north of the Blue Ridge Parkway, and is currently undeveloped. The tract wraps around the Bent Creek Baptist Church on its northeast and south, and the portion of the tract that is on the north and east of the church is the area that the rezoning request is for. The portion that's south is already CS, and there's no change in that zoning requested. Adjacent to the subject property on the east is property within the city of Asheville zoned for industrial uses, and there's an established commercial corridor along Brevard Road to the north of this property. The Planning Department is recommending approval of the request as the proposed rezoning is consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The suitability matrix within the 2013 plan update indicates the property would be suitable for moderate and intense scale commercial uses, as it is within reasonable proximity to a major transportation corridor and public utilities, is outside of high elevations, and is separated from low-density residential uses. The Planning Board held a public hearing on this application January the 6th. The applicant indicated there are no current development plans for the property, and the rezoning request is for long-term planning purposes only. There was no public comment. The Planning Board found that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use plan, that CS zoning is consistent with the surrounding area, and that CS zoning district is adjacent, and therefore would be reasonable and in the public interest. The Planning Board recommends approval of this rezoning in a unanimous vote. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about this now.
I have one. I note in the resolution that the property does contain a small portion of the Blue Ridge Parkway overlay. Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Is this something visible from the Blue Ridge Parkway?
I don't know the answer to that. Our overlay just goes a certain distance from the center line of the parkway, It's not based solely on what's visible or what's not. But the portion that that overlay falls on is the portion that's already CS and is not requesting any rezoning on.
The back side of this property would be visible from the bridge that crosses the French Broad River near the Arboretum. So when you go up and, like you're going to Hendersonville, when you turn left, if you look back, this does lie on that river, so you probably see it in the bend down there.
Okay. You said the southern portion of this is already...
That's already CS.
Okay,
that's
so only
correct.
the northern part is in question here.
The part that's R3, it's north and east of the church property.
Okay, so that would be less visible from the Parkway Bridge. Okay, so the other is already zoned, so that's not even a part of this question. So.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions before we start our public hearing or comments?
Only thing I'd like to know is why they're changing it if they're not going to do anything right now.
The only answer was that they were just taking a look at all their properties and trying to develop some long-term planning.
Is that their property across the river? That zones, that is commercial on the other side of the river? Does anybody know?
The other side of the river is Biltmore Estate.
Okay.
It's Biltmore Farms.
Okay.
On the west side.
Gotcha.
Okay. Any other comments or questions before public hearing? Okay. If not, we'll go ahead. Thank you, Ms. Trumpy. We will start the public hearing on the Biltmore Farms rezoning request at 5:47. Any member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. We'll give you your name and where you're from.
My name's Lee Thomas, and I work for Biltmore Farms. And to answer both questions, we do own the property across the river, directly across there. And then the second question, this came up because it was originally in the ETJ, and when the ETJ went away, we just looked at the property in terms of the land use plan. That's how this all came about.
Y'all have the property north of the? I know you've got it gated off there. Do y'all own the property north of the?
Across the river, yes, and north of the Parkway, yes.
Okay, so you've taken the old farmstead up there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Corrected then.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any other public comment today? Mr. Rice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jerry Rice from Cannon. That's on my side of town over there. But you know what? Biltmore never does anything little. They don't know what little is. They always do big. I was on the Goals 2000 committee with Mr. Cecil. I know what bloomed out after that. The big park out yonder on Skyland exit. Now, 42 acres or whatever. If you don't know what you're going to do and you're coming to ask for a bigger something, how do we know that the infrastructure is there to take care of whatever that need might be, and would it even be acceptable for that? We don't even know what the use is. So it doesn't make sense to approve something if you don't know what is going to be put there. Because let me tell you, like I said, Biltmore don't do anything small. And I think not just the view. You know, a lot of people put a sack over my head and say I look all right. Well, from a view from the Parkway ain't what I'm concerned about. There's other things. What is going there? Because it's near the river. We don't know what it might be. So I think there need to be some people asking those questions, because if the infrastructure is not there, then it's going to have to be built. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Any other members of the public wish to be heard today? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:50. Any discussion or motion to approve the zoning request?
I would like to know the question, is there sewer and water?
close.
Ms. Trumpy?
Yes, sir. Public utilities are within a reasonable distance to that.
Good question.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner King. Is there any other discussion among the commission?
I'd like to answer, or at least try to answer the view shed. I know this section very well. I'd like to answer a little bit about the view shed. Just looking at the map, and many times I've been across most of this property that would be in the Parkway view shed is already zoned, and it's not in question tonight. So this parcel that is in question is not so much in the view shed. So, and it is right there on Brevard Road, and I would tend to go with what the planning board has recommended, because this is it's ultimately going to be a commercial zone through there anyway. So,
all right. Any other comments or questions?
I have one question,
sir.
And I apologize if it's maybe a bit off topic. But just sort of thinking about the adjoining properties and how they're zoned. I know this is not the question on the table tonight, but the property across the river, on the immediate other side of the river, it's zoned the same zoning category that the landowner is requesting to rezone this property to. If I'm reading the codes right. And my question is, how long has that property been under that zoning characteristic? And the reason I ask is just that it's sort of an oddly shaped, the way it's sort of laid out right along the river, kind of going up into a very narrow band. And I don't know, maybe at a certain level you'd sort of anticipate sort of not kind of just having a commercial development just sort of right along a river, with other stuff not behind it. So is there any just additional information on kind of the context for the other zoning that is in place along the river in that area?
This zoning was put in place when we did countywide zoning in '09. I do not know specifically why that commercial strip is there. My recollection is that Biltmore thought there might at some future time be access to that area so that they could have some more commercial ventures like rafting and that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any other discussion? Now I'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting the rezoning request by Biltmore Farms, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion passes 6-1. I think it was Commissioner Newman against.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Trumpy, we have a second rezoning request, second of third, for Jesse Gardner.
Yes, sir. This application is to rezone tax lot pin 9643759542, located at 441 Airport Road. The request is to be zoned CS Commercial Service. It's currently zoned EMP Employment. The property is 1.34 acres and is located on the northeast corner of Airport Road and Bryan Boulevard. The property currently is developed with a gas station and convenience store. It is located along an established commercial corridor zoned EMP within the county and zoned highway business, which is very similar to our CS zoning within the city of Asheville. Additionally, there's commercial development to the south of this property in Henderson County. The Planning Department is recommending approval of the request as the proposed rezoning is consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The suitability matrix within the 2013 plan update indicates the property would be suitable for moderate and intense scale commercial uses, as the property is within reasonable proximity to a major transportation corridor and public utilities, is separate from low-density residential uses, is outside steep slopes, high elevations, areas of high and moderate slope stability hazards, and flood hazard areas. The Planning Board held a public hearing on this application January the 6th. The applicant reported that there are plans for some retail redevelopment of the property, and this rezoning request is because retail is a permitted use in CS, but is conditional in the EMP district. Additionally, the request was because the setbacks are reduced from those required in the EMP district. There was no public comment. The Planning Board found that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use plan and is consistent with the surrounding area, as it is adjacent to property zoned for commercial development within the city and is located along an established commercial corridor, and therefore would be reasonable and in the public interest. The Planning Board recommended approval of the rezoning in a unanimous vote. Do you have any questions at this time?
Just a clarification on the slide that's before, that you had, the last slide that was up. Can you bring that back up? The green is in the city, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the equivalent of our red, which is CS.
Yes.
So it is across the street from extensive commercial development.
I'm not wrong, this is the old county line property.
Yes, it's at the service station.
It was on there, so it's totally commercial out there, McDonald's, Shell, everything.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
So I was just curious, it sounds like that, so the current zoning allows for retail, but the issue was around the setbacks. So did the folks that are requesting it go to the Board of Adjustments, or are they just assuming that that'll be a problem, or what's?
They have not taken it to the Board of Adjustment. I think this is just preliminary to that. Retail is conditional in rather than permitted, as it is in CS. So there is that issue as well, that this would be a permitted use by right rather than having to go and get a conditional use permit.
Right. I guess I'm just wondering about all that other property around it that, you know.
This is an area that's been zoned since the early 80s. And back at that point, all this retail development had not happened, and this area was envisioned to be more manufacturing, an office use. And as that corridor has redeveloped, all of those commercial uses have gone for conditional use permits, but clearly it is not developing the way it was envisioned back in the early 80s.
I gotcha. So we have a bigger issue at some point to deal with, maybe.
Perhaps so.
I just have one question. Is there any concern about with this small tract being, I mean, there's all this other commercial activity around it, but is there any concern about in terms of putting into this specific zoning designation that it could be considered spot zoning, or are we?
We think we're okay because it's adjacent to commercial zoning in the city.
Even though it's not specifically that commercial zoning category, it's a similar.
Yes, and the courts look at the area in its entirety and what uses would be allowed versus what's currently allowed in the present zoning.
Any other comments?
So you're saying the other uses around there have already gone forward and gotten their conditional use around retail, but that's a step that they had to do within this district, but that's already unfolded.
That's correct.
So, okay.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. I think we need to. We had the public hearing on this.
Did we?
We did not have a public
No.
hearing.
Not have
no.
one.
We need to have
We need to have one. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I open the public hearing at 6 o'clock. Anybody wish to be heard on the Gardner rezoning?
Good evening, Chairman, fellow commissioners. My name's Jesse Gardner, applicant for this rezone application. I'm
hello,
sorry,
there, Dave.
Let's get him. Let's coup up his time again. I'm sorry, Mr. Gardner. We apologize for that.
No worries. I'm engineer with Civil Design Concepts, and we filed this application on my client here. I've been a part of this project, sort of worked through some redesigns of it through a convenience store and potential fast food, and now I've got a new client on board that's looking towards more of a retail suit. And I was sort of noticed the same thing as, this sort of area on Airport Road was zoned employment district, and that, one of the things I saw was it seems to be a lot of retail and highway business, which is what the city of Asheville has its zone straight across the street is the use out there. I think the reason that I chose to come through as a rezone particularly was because we're such a smaller parcel that the setbacks, the difference in the setbacks between employment district versus commercial services are a part of a hurdle, where the larger parcels that are on Airport Road, I think, can just follow the conditional use process, and they're much larger, and it's less of effect to them. So I think that's why I'm here tonight, or I know that's why I'm here tonight.
That's good information.
Use-wise, I think we fit in with about anything out there. We're going to be a retail fit. So if you have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
I got one question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Is the building going to basically stay where it was, the old county line building, or
yes, we're going to keep
the setback you're going to hold?
Yes, and we are looking to probably do a building expansion to it as well. Okay. But we'll utilize some of that existing building. Yes.
That's backed up, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that backed up on that property pretty close to the property line?
I think we're 10 to 15 feet from that property line.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other members of the public wish to be heard on the Gardner rezoning request? Mr. Rice?
Just a quick question. I've not heard this question even asked on any of these resolutions, but my concern would be, are there any environmental issues regarding these pieces of property that's being rezoned here? Because I know on that stretch of road there's been a lot of contamination and still are. So that would be a big concern, I think, for to be answered.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Any other members of the public wish to be heard today? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Alan Shepard. I'm the one that actually owns the property. And first time anybody's seen me without a hat on.
I knew who you was.
As to an answer as far as the environmental, there was tanks that we had removed from the property. They come back with a clean bill of health. The building is going to be rehabbed as where it's sitting, but we will be adding to the east of the building. We'll be adding about 4,000 square feet of additional space. And that's really why, and also for the speed of the process. Unfortunately, it's taken us 2 months to get here, and we felt that this was also a faster way than you trying to go through the MP change. So, if there's any questions, I can answer.
That's good. Thank you, Alan. Okay. Any other public comment tonight?
To make a motion?
I'll declare the public hearing closed at 6:05 and entertaining motions.
I'd like to make a motion that we move for approval.
Second. And a motion by Commissioner Belcher, second by Commissioner Jones and others. All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Then the request is granted. Thank you. 7-0. Next rezoning request is the Nelson Allison application. Ms. Trumpy.
Thank you. Nelson Allison has applied to rezone tax lot pin 9635629935, located at 55 Parkway Lane, from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Residential District. The subject property was previously within the City of Asheville's ETJ and was zoned RS2, a low-density residential zone. The tract is 8.64 acres and is bounded on the north by the French Broad River and on the south by the Rivercrest subdivision, which is a single-family site-built home development zoned R1. To the west of the subject are larger tracts containing single-family site-built homes, also zoned R1. To the east is the Asheville Firefighters Association campground, which is zoned public service. The property has been developed as the Parkway Manufactured Home Park, but now contains several park model RVs that are used as vacation rentals. The Planning Department is recommending denial of the request, as the proposed rezoning to R3 is not consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The 2013 plan update suggests that the property is not suitable for multifamily residential uses because it contains steep slope areas, moderate and high slope stability hazard areas, flood hazard areas, and is not within a reasonable proximity to a major transportation corridor. Additionally, the update recommends that resorts and outdoor recreation be located outside of flood hazard areas, which this property contains. The Planning Board held a public hearing on this application January the 6th. The applicant stated that he wants to put in 3 additional park model RVs and develop the property as a vacation resort. Another problem that we see with this is that our zoning ordinance only allows RVs as a temporary use, with use being a maximum of 180 days per year. One person spoke against the rezoning during public comment. His concerns were that R3 allows many uses not consistent with their low-density residential area, and that there would be additional noise and traffic and trash generated. The Planning Board found that the proposed rezoning is not consistent with the land use plan and is not consistent with the surrounding low-density residential area, and therefore would not be reasonable nor in the public interest. And the Planning Board recommended denial of the rezoning in a 5-to-1 vote. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have now.
Any questions for Ms. Trumpy?
Real quick question. It looks like there's, I don't know, mobile homes or something on this, looking at this aerial. What is there now?
I believe most of the mobile homes, the rental homes, have been removed.
Okay. And it looks like at least more than half of this is in the floodplain, so it would only be talking about a very small acreage here, right?
The property is 8.6 acres, so a large part of it is in the flood zone.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions before we do our public comment? Excuse me, public hearing. Yes, sir,
Chairman,
Mr. Frye.
how many park models are they talking about?
The applicant said 3 additional is what he intends to do.
So in other words, he has mobile homes, and he's just going to add 3 park models?
He has removed most of the mobile homes and has park models in there now, and he's adding additional park models, is what he wishes to do.
Weird.
Tell us what do you mean by park models? Tell us exactly what the difference is.
A park model RV.
Oh, it's a vehicle. Okay.
Well, not really.
Okay. No.
Park model RVs look a lot like little cabins.
Yeah, they do.
The problem that we in the planning department have with them is that they're not built to a building code or a HUD standard. The industry itself has a standard that they build to and self-inspect on. So they're built to an RV standard. Although they're wider and require a DOT permit to move them, they're really not suitable for any kind of year-round occupancy.
And I think I read that our rules only permit these to be used 180 days a year anyway. Is that
That's
right?
correct.
And
So
that-
it's not
I'm
going to be a
sorry.
permanent setup under our rules unless they're violating what we have down now, right?
They could only use them 180 days out of the year.
Well, and there's actually two codes for these. One is the ANSI code, which is that's the industry code, and the second is they can actually be built to modular code. Some of these are smaller and very expensive, little short cabins with little tricked out 2 stories, so they could be. I mean,
And if they
there's
can-
some they can be very expensive, the park models, and a lot of some people prefer them for vacation rentals.
If they were built to HUD standards, they'd have a HUD label on them, and that would not be a problem, as long as it was zoned to allow manufactured home. The problem with the RVs is that they're not built to a standard for a year-round occupancy.
Well, I mean, the big problem is that they're designed not to be lived in. They're designed, and a HUD code is designed to be lived in. So it makes it a lot easier to make the call, and certainly a whole lot easier to be able to review or to make sure nobody's taking advantage of something. So.
I understand this is in the floodplain. Has this area been flooded in recent times?
It has. In 04, several of the park models were in those floods.
So none of this request is consistent with our land use plan.
Yes, the land use plan has recommended that this is not an appropriate property, and then the zoning ordinance itself, we've got compliance issues with being the park model RVs, what the applicant intends to do.
Thank you.
Did you say there was water and sewer or not water and sewer?
There is water and sewer.
Okay.
Not good access as far as the being close to a transportation corridor.
Okay. Any other questions before we do our public hearing on this?
Quick question. The units that are in there now, are they being lived in, or are used as rentals?
My
what
understanding
exactly?
from the applicant is that they are vacation rentals.
Okay, so no one's permanently living in them.
That's my understanding.
Okay, so is this consistent with a vacation rental? I mean, these park models?
Well, the RVs are not consistent with year-round occupancy.
We're looking at RVs instead of park models, right?
Well, these are park model RVs. It's a type of RV still.
What is the other park model like?
There can be HUD labeled park models, but generally the park model RVs are not HUD labeled. They're less than 400 square feet because HUD standards are required at 400 square feet.
That's one of the big deciding
I need
factors.
to learn more about that.
Is the bigger when you cross 400 square feet, then it becomes a regulated HUD home because it is a general expectation of anybody that people are going to live in that home if it's bigger than 400. If it's less than 400, then it comes under RV or park model, which can be under the ANSI code, which is RV, and the ANSI code also applies to the park model, as well as a park model can be a modular. So, because this is kind of preaching to the choir on this deal. So this is kind of, but it is what drives it is the size of it. When it goes under 400, then it no longer has that HUD requirement on it, and so therefore that becomes a little bit of a sticky situation when you're trying to figure out what you're going to put in there, and how are they going to be using it. So the use is very important, what you're telling us. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions or comments before we do our public hearing on this? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll start our public hearing at 6:15. Any members of the public wish to be heard on the Allison rezoning request? Okay, if not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 6:16. Okay, is there any motions?
I will make a motion to deny the rezoning request. Second.
Been a motion by Commissioner Jones, a second by Vice Chair Frost. Is there any discussion?
Commissioner, or Chairman again, I think there's some confusion, at least on my part, about this whole park model. I know what a park model is. I thought I did when I came in here. I'm not sure I do now. But anyway, that's just the only point I'd like to make.
Okay, so what can you say the motion again? Because always
The motion is to deny the rezoning request by Nelson Allison, as recommended by staff and planning board.
So just a
Can I
comment.
step in 1 second?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, Commissioner
Go
Fryer.
ahead. Sorry.
The person already has a whole bunch of similar like these park models there. He's asking for 3 more, and we're going to deny a person to be able to put 3 things on his own property. I'm not going there. I don't understand the whole picture, but if there was nothing there, 0, then I could understand it. But there is something on this property already, and if I'm not wrong, and then they're only asking for 3 more vacation type homes, and they're doing it already. It's their money.
Well, I'm
Let me
going-
recognize Ms. Trump.
Sorry,
She
I'm
wanted
sorry.
she wanted to
I
say
would
something.
like to say that's what the applicant has said his intent is, but once it's rezoned, then
Katie, for the
anything
door.
that's allowed in R3 would be allowed. He's not held to that development plan.
In other words, you're saying we can't lock him down on that number.
That's correct. If he
But how
wanted
many-
to put in mobile home.
But do we know how many he has now?
I believe he has 7 now.
And how did he get them?
Those were while it was unzoned.
Did what, ma'am?
The property was unzoned when those were put in.
So he would not be able to put them in now under the current zoning.
That's correct, or the zoning that he had under the city of Asheville. He couldn't have done them.
Okay.
But
Commissioner Belcher.
Okay, I am going to be against the motion for the reason across the river is R3 currently, and we just approved changing from R3 to commercial on a site that is borders the same river. So that's going to be my reasoning. So I think it's okay.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, there's a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Vice Chair Frost, to deny the rezoning application. If there are no other comments, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to deny the rezoning request, say aye.
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 All opposed, no.
No.
I think the motion, I will rule the motion to deny is approved by a 4-3 vote. Commissioner Belcher, King, and Fryer against. Is that correct? I'll make sure I heard that right. Okay.
Right, yeah.
I think we established no county manager report, no new business. We are going to interview the African American Heritage Commission in 2 weeks. We will interview all the applicants. Next, we have the Nursing Home Community Advisory Commission. There are 12 reappointments. Who wants to tackle that?
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Baker, Barkdale DeBrule, Frederick Israel Kiger Nofel,
Dono, Parr, Rutledge, Webster, and Weiss.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Belcher, a second by Commissioner Newman. Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of those individuals being reappointed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. They are reappointed 7-0. Applications are currently being taken for the Board of Adjustment. We have three vacancies with a, I think we extended the deadline. The deadline was today. We're going to extend it how long? 1 more week. So till March 11. We also have a board, so the deadline for the Board of Adjustment, 3 vacancies, is March 11. Board of Equalization and Review, we have 1 vacancy, and the deadline for applications is March the 14th.
Could could we just interviewed a bunch of Board of Adjustment folks, didn't we? Could we query and see if they remain interested? I don't know that we need to, they're all yeah. There were some good ones.
Okay, very good. Good. Thank you.
But we will also be taking additional as well. Okay.
So we've got another week to get them in. Good. Thank you. Good comment. Announcements. The next regular meeting of the Commission will be March 18, beginning at 4:30 in room 326 in 200 College Street in downtown Asheville. The Commission has rescheduled our retreat, originally scheduled earlier for March the 11th. We will have our retreat at 2 p.m. in the first floor conference room at 200 College Street in downtown Asheville. So we will have our retreat March the 11th at 2 o'clock. Commission meetings may be seen on BC Charter Cable Channel 192, ATT Uverse Channel 99, live on Buncombe County TV Channel 192, and on buncombecounty.org during the meetings, or online anytime, buncombecounty.org. I believe we have a need for a closed session to discuss a legal matter, Cox versus Buncombe County. Nope.
Yes, sir. Will Coxon versus Buncombe County and Bob
All right.
Medford.
Is there a motion to go into closed session? Motion by Vice Chair Frost, second by Commissioner Belcher. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will be in closed session. Thank you. We do not expect any action taken. Is that correct?